Hey, what's up, Chiefs Kingdom, and welcome back to another podcast episode of Win or Lose Chiefs News. I am your host, Alex Liu, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the loss yesterday to the Tennessee Titans. I have three main takeaways I want to cover, and that is, number one, let's just call it catastrophic injury spiral. Takeaway number two is going to be the team morale for the Chiefs right now being at an all-time low. And then takeaway number three is going to be now really more than ever the urgent need to stop messing around and seriously plan long-term for the future and big picture. This 2025 season truly cannot end soon enough for Kansas City. Gardner Minshew, it was the third play of the game for the Chiefs. He came up a little gimpy, limping after he ran, and I think he slid. It seemed like another non-contact type of thing, and he leaves the game. Chris Oladokun comes in, and hours later, news comes out that it's feared that he also tore his ACL, just like Mahomes. So we just cannot catch a break. For years, it seemed like we were always catching breaks with Mahomes' health. People thought we caught a lot of breaks with calls and penalties in favor of us from the refs. Now, all the calls are going against us. All the balls are not bouncing our way. It's damn near impossible for us to get a turnover, even if there is a fumble or a ball tipped up in the air. And then in terms of injuries, just everybody is getting injured on the Chiefs right now. Everybody's getting banged up. It is a struggle to even make it through the rest of this regular season at this point. We're now down to third stringer Chris Oladokun, who got his first ever NFL experience after years of being on the practice squad in a real live action regular season game. Up until yesterday, we had only seen him in preseason games. And I learned yesterday that, surprisingly enough, and maybe it's because of Kelsey's age, but Kelsey used to, I think, be the emergency backup quarterback if the two activated quarterbacks in usual games both somehow got knocked out. Kelsey would be the guy, but actually Noah Gray is the emergency backup quarterback. It sounds almost made up, but I mean, I thought it would maybe be Kelsey, but I don't think it really matters who would be in at quarterback, because at this point, nothing matters for the team, for our season. We were eliminated from playoffs last week. Against the Titans, nothing was going to matter anyway. What really frustrates me as a fan is I don't understand why we have any of our starters still playing. I'm not just talking Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, Nick Bolton, like no one who is a regular starter. Brian Cook, get him out of there. Shut them down for the season. I understand that Hollywood Brown is on a one-year deal, but Worthy, he should not be playing. Unless it is a contract year type of scenario, or these are young guys trying to get some experience, that I can understand. But otherwise, if you are second, third string, you should be playing. If you are first string or second string, but you are a regular rotational player, these guys need to be shut down for the season, because we need to not be worrying about these last games, and we need to be worrying about the offseason and walking away while we still can with some health. Not that we have much, but some health and safety for these guys, because the Chiefs are essentially finishing this year with another round of 3 preseason games. It's basically the equivalent of that. These games mean nothing. It does not matter. I don't really care at this point about building momentum going into the offseason. A lot of these guys on the team are going to be gone once we get to the offseason and free agency. And at this point, you kind of hope the Chiefs just tank, because it would further help our draft positioning. Right now, I think we're drafting in the first round, 12th or 14th. If you continue losing, you probably get into maybe closer to the top 10, depending on some of the other teams with worse records that are below us. I'm not saying I want the Chiefs to just lose on purpose, but at the same time, you kind of hope for that. It doesn't matter. Let the backups play. If they are able to move the ball, great. Will they do much? Most likely not. I mean, the offensive line is already consisting of some guys who are second, third, fourth string, guys that were recently elevated from the practice squad or signed out of free agency. Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, those guys should not be playing. I don't want to see any more of these starters potentially have their own ACL or Achilles injury that sets them up for a 9-10 month recovery along with Mahomes. It's senseless. And so now what we're looking at before Christmas is, I am assuming Chris Oladokun is going to get the start against the Broncos on Christmas night. I don't know if they're going to just plan to go with Noah Gray and Travis Kelce as backup emergency quarterbacks if Chris Oladokun gets hurt, or if they're going to try to, I don't know if they have any other practice squad quarterbacks, or if they're going to go and just sign somebody off the street, essentially just give them the backup role to be another backup quarterback to Oladokun if he gets hurt. But we will have to see. All right, so segment number 2, let's shift to the team morale, the vibes. It was pretty apparent yesterday that the whole team is just incredibly defeated, deflated. They're tired, they're unmotivated, they're pissed off. Still, I think, reeling just from the loss of Mahomes and just the fact that this was once a championship team that was in the Super Bowl last February, and now we have fallen to 6-9. Jaden Hicks had a unnecessary roughness penalty at one point yesterday. I think it was like a 15-yard penalty. And he and Cam Ward, they were seen kind of butting helmets at one point after a Titans touchdown. The Titans, I could give a shit about them. I couldn't give a rat's ass about them. It's whatever. Go ahead. Win your 3rd game of the year. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. But Jaden Hicks not only needs to be smarter in that situation, walk away with your pride, just forget about it, let it go. But I can't really blame him either. What it feels like right now is the Chiefs are essentially down on the ground and they're just continuing to get kicked by any team in the league while they're down right now. Even the lonely Tennessee Titans are just kicking the Chiefs while they're down. Everyone wants to jump on the dog pile now and basically kick us while we're down. The great mighty Chiefs have fallen. It's not enough that they aren't going to make the playoffs, that Mahomes got hurt. They're just going to get beat and embarrassed the next 2 weeks, and everyone is just enjoying laughing at them, kicking them while they're down. We saw Trace Smith and Creed Humphrey get pissed beyond belief at the rest of the pathetic excuse of a lackluster offensive line. Esapole, I was a bit disappointed in him yesterday. He had a good game against the Texans 2 weeks ago, and then yesterday he had like 2 penalties in a row, I think, at one point on one drive. Kingsley Suamataia just completely missed his block and let Jeffrey Simmons, I believe it was, get a safety on Kareem Hunt in the end zone. So the Titans started off the game leading 2-0, and Creed and Trey were just ripping this O-line a new one, telling them to wake up when they got back to the sidelines. That's where we're at right now. Guys are pissed, and they have a right to be pissed, but I think we just need to shut it down for the season and just play a bunch of backups and just get through the last 2 games. It does not matter. I guess unless you want to let some guys develop and try some plays here and there. Otherwise, run on 1st and 2nd downs, pass on 3rd downs, punt, and get off the field. And just let guys go and play some defense. That's really where we're at right now. You know, as a Chiefs fan, I don't have any expectations other than to just support the team I love, hang in there with them, and know that this is just a bumpy part in the road. Otherwise, Mahomes, I know that he and this team are going to be back, and we're going to see better of them in the future. It's just going to take some time. We just have to roll with the punches. It sucks. It's a horrible end to an already disastrous season. I don't think that this dynasty is over or that it's ended. It might be part 1 of the dynasty is coming to a close, and we're now moving on to a new chapter, and we might see a part 2 to the dynasty. The dynasty has crash landed. We have crash landed back down to earth, and it's been hard. I mean, we are, again, mortal. I don't think there's anything else you can really say about it. It's just losing the Super Bowl last year was bad enough, and then it really got bad and snowballed into a season's worth full of failure stemming from how things finally just broke down and we lost the Super Bowl really badly, and then everything just came crashing down, snowball effect from there. All right, so segment number 3, roster needs and long-term vision. So thinking 2026 and really 2027. So first and foremost, we have got to fix the offensive line because that's the foundation. If you can't do anything in the trenches up front, your offense cannot function. You already have Creed Humphrey and you have Trey Smith. Hopefully Josh Simmons comes back healthy and recovered, and he can continue to be that left tackle that we were trying to lean on this year, and he'll have another year under his belt. The injuries are a concern, but hopefully he comes back and he is that strong left tackle piece. I'm not ready to give up on Esapole. I liked what I saw initially during the Texans game, and he was dealing with edge rushers, guys like Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter. What I will say, though, is Esapole, we originally had him and we cut him. I would like to think that we just made the wrong decisions in keeping guys like Wanya Morris. Hopefully Esapole can swing and play either like left guard right tackle, one of those. And then otherwise, we go out and we draft or acquire another solid O-lineman to be our fifth. Other than that, Jawan Taylor, Mike Caliendo, Kingsley Suamataia, Wanye Morris, and Jalen Moore, I really think all of them need to go. All of them. They're not cutting it. I've seen enough. I don't care at this point who our backups are. We need a solid starting five. And in my opinion, I think we've got 4 of them. We need to go get one more. Travis Kelce's future. I think I said this last week, and I've been saying it in my blog. He needs to retire. I love the guy to death. I love everything he's done for us, but it's time. He's a legend. He always will be. But he's had too many drops this year, and he's really had some drops over recent years. It's cost us in some moments. I think he's lucky and fortunate that he hasn't gotten hurt and suffered a major injury this year. Walk away while you're still healthy. There's just no point in risking your health and the rest of your life over 2 meaningless football games to finish off potentially your career. And I don't really think there's much point in coming back because I don't think Mahomes is going to be quite the same for a little while. And I think this offense is still needing and trying to figure out how to rebuild an offensive line that is sound and well constructed to be that foundation. And then we need a running back and a running game. Mahomes and Travis Kelce potentially next year are not going to be able to carry and will this team back to greatness. So if I was Travis, I would just retire now, go off on somewhat of a good note while you still can. Last season ended horribly with the Super Bowl loss, but this season has been a horrible season and low note to go off on. So I just think if you're Travis Kelce, get out while you still can. Don't kid yourself and think that next year will be better and we'll go off on a high note and come back and win another Super Bowl. I just don't see that happening right now. It might be a couple years before we get back to contending for Super Bowls, in my honest opinion. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but the Mahomes question mark around his injury and the recovery, things are apparently a little bit more complex according to sports doctors and medical professionals in the field. The LCL repair, in addition to the ACL tear and reconstruction, have made things a little bit more complicated, and we're no longer just looking at like he probably might not be ready for the start of the 2026 season in week 1, but he might not really feel confident in being back to himself and able to move as fluid and mobile as he once was able to until 2027. Mahomes is 30 years old. We need to prioritize his longevity in this league and for the franchise and for the potential of this group to win at least a couple more Super Bowls together before Mahomes retires and Andy Reid retires. There's a lot at stake here. If Mahomes rehabs too hard and overdoes it and comes back sooner than he should, or even if he comes back on time, there's potential that he gets re-injured again. There's potential that he actually does worse for himself in the long run if we rush this. I think we need to take our time with this and take the next 2 seasons to really rebuild up this team in all 3 phases. And that goes for the defensive line as well, because there was no pass rush this year. If we can get the D-line, edge rushers, pass rush, the defensive pressure and disruption piece overall figured out, O-line, running back and running game, and we might need a kicker long-term to replace Butker if he continues to be shaky. And if we can get special teams figured out, eliminate the penalties, get back to learning how to cover and not hold or block in the back, I think that this team over the next 2 years can build up back up to a point where we're ready to fire on all cylinders again. Those are my 3 main takeaways and thoughts from the Titans game. There's not a whole lot to take away from the game. I mean, it was a loss. It was a meaningless game. It was just a continuation of watching just a really bad ending to a bad year and a bad football team at this point. I just want to get through Christmas night carefree, watching the Chiefs play the Broncos, and I don't care if we win or lose. I don't want to see anyone else critical and major to this team get injured. If we were to somehow shock the Broncos, great, even better. But if not, I don't care. I just want them to play smart. I want them to be smart and make business decisions at this point. I'm always going to love the Chiefs. I say it all the time. I'm thankful for what we've had over the last 7 years. This isn't goodbye. This isn't the end. This is just, again, a bump in a long road of hopefully seeing another 10 years of Mahomes and maybe Andy Reid together. And hopefully this group can get back to the drawing board and figure out organizationally how do we fix our philosophy and the systemic issues so we can move forward. Christmas night, I will most likely be drunk off of rum and eggnog or some kind of Christmas tonic because I'm going to need it. This game means nothing. I'm probably going to slap on my red Mahomes jersey for the final time of the 2025 season. Just try to have a Merry Christmas and look ahead to the new year. It's time to turn the page and try to look forward and put this behind us. Final call to action, I would say, for Chiefs Kingdom and really the franchise is the organization, again, just needs to think bigger, big picture, further down the road. Be smart. We need to be focused on the offseason at this point. Don't rush Mahomes back too soon and rebuild the foundation first. Let's just try to get through these last two games. I mean, I say unscathed at this point. Let's try to get through with no more major injuries. Let's get to the offseason. Let's start planning for 2026 and really 2027. I don't think there's anything else that needs to be said at this point. I think most Chiefs fans were trying to just recover from the recent emotions of Mahomes' injury and just seeing how far this team has fallen in the span of several months, really, since last February. A really good line and way of putting it that I read in a recent article is that all empires fall at some point eventually, and it's never ugly. Things always come crashing down in the worst ways, but I think we have a chance to salvage things and be kind of like the Patriots in decade 2 of their dynasty. Things kind of have to get worse before they're going to get better again. You have to figure out how to evolve, retool, and systematically approach things a little bit different in the back half of your star quarterback's career. More importantly, as long as we don't have a falling out between Clark Hunt, Andy Reid, and Patrick Mahomes the way that the Patriots organization did, I think we'll be just fine. Things are grim right now, but let's just get through Christmas. Let's get through the last game against the Raiders, and let's turn the page and look ahead to 2026. All right, that's going to do it for this podcast episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Go Chiefs.